So our next speaker is a familiar face that many of you will know from attending the forum over the years. Lisa Mitten, you are very welcome.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for having me here. It's a fantastic opportunity.
Not at all, Lisa. Now, many of our guests might not know this, but Lisa has ventured out from her EA career to become a vision and leadership mentor. So although you're still very much working with EAs and PAs and organisational leaders, you've gone down this new career path, Lisa. So tell us what prompted the career change for you.
Yeah, so I was an EA in various different organisations for approximately 12 years. And the last 2 years of my role as an EA, I was leading teams of EAs and I suppose mentoring those EAs to set them up for success and prepare them to be the best that they can be in their roles. And I absolutely loved it, truly loved it. And somebody kind of said to me, I think this is your niche, you know. And as much as I loved being an EA, I suppose now's the time for change and to really delve into something that I loved. So COVID came along and I took that opportunity and decided to train and become a coach and mentor. So
and here we are today. Yeah. Great. So Lisa, we're delighted that you're actually presenting on the topic of confidently communicating your voice. And, you know, it's coming up there on the screen, all the points that you're going to cover within the session. Now, as we can see, one of the first areas that you're going to cover is discovering and living in your vision. Now, when we think about communicating and using your voice, and then, you know, we think about tone and style and eye contact and body language and, you know, all these very tangible characteristics. What has discovering and living in your vision got to do with how we communicate?
Good question, because a lot of people, I'm a vision and leadership mentor and coach, so a lot of people ask me this. So your vision is all about getting clear on what you stand for. What do you want to create? What is important to you in your role as an EA or whatever it is that you're doing? But for me, working primarily with the EA. So what do they want to create? What's important to them and what do they stand for? How do they show up? When you get clear on that, you're clear on your vision of who it is you really are and how you want to be perceived. And then you can step into creating that. What's it going to take to create that vision? And that's when that brings you into your leadership because you're leading your own vision.
Fantastic.
So it opens up everything for you.
Yeah, and I know actually also another area you're going to talk about is ensuring your communication lands effectively.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean and what does it mean in the context of the executive support role?
So it's extremely important. I mean, for everybody watching today, they will know that our communication is everything. But it's how our communication lands. So the key thing is when we remove the emotional attachment around the result that we want to get. So we come from a neutral place. We are confident about what we want to communicate. We're clear about what it is we want to create. And we're coming from a neutral stance. So there's no emotional attachment. We communicate however that is, you know, whether it's, you know, speaking to our executives in whatever way it's done now, whether it's face-to-face or over Zoom. And knowing that the executive is getting a clear idea of what we want. And the outcome is neutral. Obviously we want to get the positive outcome, but we're grounded in what we're trying to communicate. And that makes all the difference.
And again, it makes it more powerful because it's linked to your vision and your overall goal and mindset. I think it actually really...
it's clarity. So, you know, if we walk in to talk to somebody and we're very clear about what we want to create, but we're coming from a neutral place. We're not hung up on emotion, you know, so we're not getting tied up on what if this doesn't work out or what is the other person thinking of me? What if I don't come across correctly? You're just confident in what you're saying and you're putting it out there. And that lands much more effectively with the person we're speaking to, whoever that could be. You know, it can be just a colleague or it could be your executive.
And did you find, because I know you've studied this a lot, you know, to become a coach and a leadership mentor, you know, did you find that within your role over the years you were finding your voice more, or was there a particular manager that encouraged you to do that, or, you know, was it a combination of your work and your study that you came to learn more about this?
A combination, Fiona, because I had executives who had, you know, no time really for me. I mean, I worked for the chief of surgery in Great Ormond Street Hospital for a number of years. So I really had to discover how to use my voice with him, because he was busy, busy, busy. And he didn't really want to hear a lot of the things that I needed to communicate with him. So I really had to work out, how do I communicate with this man effectively? So that was probably my first introduction to how important communication is. Then I would have had other executives who were, you know, would have encouraged, like, come into the meeting, speak up, ask questions, don't be afraid. But I think we, especially if you're working with somebody who's not encouraging that, you need to get support from somebody who can help you with that, because it takes a lot. If you're sitting around a table with a group of executives, it can be quite intimidating to use your voice, because you're afraid that they're thinking, but what do you know about this? But it's trusting your decisions as well. When you trust yourself and you trust your voice, you'll go with it. But it takes practice.
Yeah, and I know that you're going to touch on a lot of that within your talk at the forum as well. And obviously on forum day on the 10th, you're going to do a lot of that top level stuff. But then on workshop day, we're going to do a deep dive, more intensive, and you're going to actually get people doing exercises and really getting stuck into some of the techniques. So do you want to tell us a bit about what they can expect on workshop day?
Yeah, workshop day is going to be really exciting. So we're going to have approximately 2.5 hours of interactive workshop, where, you know, we'll have closed eye experiences. There'll be lots of different exercises to do among the groups, and we will look at, you know, communicating, effectively communicating. How do we turn and what we perceive as a negative situation into a positive? Because sometimes when we don't get the results that we hope to get, we see it as an absolute negative, like we've failed.
Yeah.
But there's always a learning there.
Yeah.
We would look at controlling your own environment. So how do you make your environment work really effectively for you? How do you create what you want out of any environment?
Yeah.
So, you know, there are a number of things that we would really dive into. It's going to be really exciting. I think the participants are going to really enjoy it. And it'll just give the participants a new perspective on what they're doing and create, I think, that juiciness around their role to go out there and kind of get stuck in.
Well, they'll all be fighting to get into that workshop, I'm sure. So, Lisa, look, I think that's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much for coming in and having a chat with us. And we can't wait to see your talk and your workshop in November.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Really looking forward to it.